A lot of you have requested me to make a video on how to increase your FPS or performance whilst playing Mac games, so that is exactly what we're going to do. Before we start, it is advised that your Mac is running the latest version of macOS, which right now is macOS Mojave, and it is best that your Mac was released from 2012 and up, as these machines support Apple's new graphics API, Metal, which actually improves performance. Both of these are not a must, but to easily follow this guide, I highly recommend following those two steps.
Let's go kick some Kang!
Before you launch a game, let's make sure your Mac is actually ready for gaming. First, make sure no applications are running in the background, which can use up your Mac's resources. Also, go into System Preferences, Users and Groups, Login Items, and remove any unwanted login items that are also using up resources. Next, if you are gaming with a Magic Mouse, you may have noticed it is not suitable for gaming as it has no right-click button. Put it aside and invest in a 2-button mouse. I personally use the Razer DeathAdder Elite. Next, for those of you who use Time Machine to back up your Mac, it's best to turn it off when playing games, as it can slow down your Mac. To turn it off, just safely eject your external hard drive. Next, I like to put on Do Not Disturb. This way, no one can interrupt me when gaming with messages, phone calls, etc. But don't forget to turn it off later. Moving on, I like to have the app Countit open before I launch a game. Countit allows you to track a game's frame rate, which is helpful to find the best settings for smooth gameplay at the highest possible settings. Use the link in the description to download this app. Now you're ready to launch whatever macOS game you want. You should always adjust the in-game settings for a Mac game so it plays the best for your system. Try to aim for a frame rate of at least 30 to 60 FPS. Typically, you can adjust the in-game settings from the main menu under Options, Settings, or Display. With the settings page open, let's link Countit. For the game you're in, change the display mode to Window. Now press Command plus Tab to exit to the desktop or to choose Countit. Find Countit and head to Game, Add Game, and then Running. Choose the game you are currently playing. If your game doesn't appear, click Show Hidden Apps and it should appear. Now, find your game in Countit and hit the play button. You may have to enter your Mac computer password. Then go back to your game and change the display mode back to full screen, or sometimes it's called windowed full screen. Okay, let's adjust some settings. First of all, if you have an old Mac or a MacBook, MacBook Air, Mac Mini, or a 13-inch MacBook Pro, I suggest you play in a resolution of 1280 by 800. If your Mac doesn't support this resolution, use 1280 by 720, or 1344 by 756, or 1600 by 900. Remember, the lower the resolution, the more FPS you'll get. Also, if you can change the aspect ratio, make sure it's 16 by 9 and not 4 by 3. For additional or advanced settings like view distance, shadows, textures for example, it's best to have these on low or medium, and I would suggest turning VSync off for these lower end machines. Now, if you have a more high-end Mac, like a 4K or 5K iMac, a 15-inch MacBook Pro or a Mac Pro, try playing in a display resolution of 1920 by 1080. And for advanced settings, you can play in medium and sometimes high settings. It's also best to have VSync turned on, as for high-end Macs, it is recommended to play with VSync on, as it allows for the smoothest and most consistent experience, free from screen tearing. Also, you can try playing games in window mode to see if this improves gameplay performance more. I suggest you now actually benchmark or play the game to see if you're hitting a stable 30 FPS or hopefully 60 FPS. If the game is just laggy or your FPS is still too low, try lowering the resolution and additional settings. Okay, once you've found your preferred settings, you should then disable counted, as it does use a very small amount of resources. There are a few macOS system settings you can alter to improve Mac performance. First, you can actually open a macOS game in low resolution mode. The easiest way to do this is by going to the Apple icon, About This Mac, Storage, and then Manage. From here, go into Applications and find any game you want and click Show in Finder. Now, with the game application highlighted in the Finder, right-click and choose Get Info. Find and check Open in Low Resolution checkbox. This will force the game to open in a non-Retina resolution, which should improve your performance. Some games will automatically have this setting checked. Also, if we head back to that handy storage manager, you can use this utility to optimize a Mac storage to reduce clutter, free up disk space, and store files in iCloud. Remember, having less than 10 gigabytes of space will lead to a Mac slowing down. Now head to System Preferences by going to the Apple icon, then System Preferences. From here, go into Software Update and make sure Automatically Keep My Mac Up to Date is checked. Now, exit here and head into the Dock tab. From here, change Minimize Windows Using to Scale Effect. Then uncheck Magnification for the dock. Then exit this tab and go to Accessibility and then the Display tab. Check Reduce Motion and Reduce Transparency. You may notice this changes the way that your operating system looks, from how the way tabs close to how the dock works, blah blah blah. Bear in mind, if you play in full screen mode, then these changes will have no noticeable impact. However, in windowed mode, they may have a small impact. Some games don't allow you to change your Mac's display resolution, but you can manually change it under System Preferences if need be. Head into Display, then whilst holding the Alt key on the keyboard, click Scaled. Choose 1920 by 1080 for high-end Macs and 1280 by 800 for low-end Macs. Or you may have 1280 by 720 or 1344 by 756 or 1600 by 900. And we're done here. You can close System Preferences now. Next, running First Aid from the app Disk Utility can also isolate and fix issues on your Mac. To find it, simply go up to Spotlight and type in Disk Utility. And last, many of you use Discord in the background whilst playing games, but this can cause small FPS drops. Let's turn off Discord's hardware acceleration. To do this, make sure Discord is open and go up to Preferences. From this window, find Appearance. Now simply turn off hardware acceleration. Discord should automatically restart. There are a few things you can do to actually upgrade your Mac. First, new Macs utilizing Thunderbolt 3 and running macOS High Sierra or later can now support additional graphics performance by connecting an external graphics processor, also known as an eGPU. There are quite a few supported eGPUs, too many to list here, so I've included a handy link by Apple showing a list of compatible ones. Next, if you are lucky enough to have a 5K iMac or a Mac Pro, you can upgrade the RAM from 8GB to, in some cases, 32GB. I've included a handy link in the description that goes into more detail about this. And last, I suggest you buy and put your macOS games on an external portable SSD, utilizing either USB 3 or USB-C. It will really reduce load times. I suggest either the Samsung T5 or Western Digital My Passport, but there are many other options out there. There are quite a few programs on macOS that can help with gaming performance. It won't be that much, but it's worth a go. These programs can be downloaded in the description. Disk Inventory X clearly shows you what is taking up the most space on your Mac. This is great to free up your drive, leading to a faster and snappier Mac. CC Cleaner does an overall cleansing of your Mac. Activity Monitor is built into macOS and provides a complete picture of which processes and applications are using the most memory, CPU, and disk resources. It also allows you to close unwanted apps. If nothing has worked so far, I have two final methods. First, you can install Windows 10 via BOOTCAMP on your Mac to run games through the Windows operating system. Windows is better optimized for gaming, so you should get better performance here when running games. Or you could try using GeForce Now, a cloud streaming game service. However, it is only available in North America and Europe right now. A guide to use these programs is in the description.
We are victorious!
Okay, yeah, thanks.
And that's my guide on increasing a game's performance on Mac computers. I hope this has helped in some way. Let me know which Mac model are you playing games on, and how is it performing after watching this video. Leave a like and subscribe to show your support. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.